Hello everybody, I did a video earlier today which I've deleted because I was getting pretty irate in the video. So this time, second take, it's going to be a bit more cool, a bit more calm. And basically I want to give you the perspective that Thailand's perspective on the situation between Russia, Ukraine and the United States. So the Russia-Ukraine situation in itself, Thailand doesn't have a very strong opinion. It feels like it's a situation between those two nations and doesn't affect Thailand. However, Thailand has very strong views regarding their involvement in something that doesn't really affect national security of America. It might affect some financial security for America. So the perspective in Thailand is that America should stay out of it. It doesn't concern them, and America getting involved is only going to make the situation worse for more people, and obviously escalate the situation massively. I'm in agreement with that view. I wasn't at all okay with the war in Libya. America didn't like what Gaddafi was doing with the oil. He was planning to sell oil for other commodities other than the US dollar. That would obviously lead to other nations thinking along those lines also, and that couldn't be allowed to happen. The CIA then armed rebels to overthrow Gaddafi. Gaddafi was beating those rebels, so America had a no-fly zone and then enforced that no-fly zone. There's a speech Obama gave where he addressed the nation and the world and addressed that and said he's not going to stand by whilst there's genocide. Well, what's China doing to the Muslim Uyghurs and the Falun Gong, right? What's China doing? So utter nonsense. And what was going on in Sudan? Just utter nonsense. It's a complete lie and fabrication to justify the overthrow and turning Libya into a hellhole. And these one of the things that Obama had said also was regarding a refugee crisis. Well, after the overthrow of Gaddafi and the rebels took over, and then the rebels were fighting each other, there was a refugee crisis that's still probably ongoing, and there were smuggling people from all over Africa through Libya. So it wasn't just Libyans. Well, the warmongering, this is how I see it. America at the moment and all its, oh, we've got intelligence. Show the intelligence. Show it. Instead of just claiming that you've got it. And even if you've got it, it's none of your business what's going on between Russia and Ukraine. It's for them. Russia has a right to manage its own national security concerns, just as America does. So why is it okay for America to enforce its national security concerns, but other nations that America disagrees with aren't allowed that same right? You've got to remember also that it was McCain had gone over there. There was a friendly government in Ukraine to Russia, and McCain went over there and he started an insurrection, and a coup then came about. So America's meddling in affairs not on the doorstep of Russia that's causing turbulence in Russia and in its sphere of interest. And then claiming that Russia, by reacting to it, is being aggressive, and that America must protect freedom. Well, a coup in a democratically elected government, okay, a country with a democratically elected government is not, and supporting the coup is not supporting freedom, is it? You've got to follow the money in these things, in my opinion. And you've also you got to think also, for example, with Biden, what he says, is it his words? Is it his mind thinking these things? Is it his emotions? Are they policies actually his, or does he have handlers like a cabal pulling the strings, which nobody votes for? I would say it's the latter. I don't think Biden is the one leading the way on these matters. I think he's a puppet and doing what he's told. I think many countries, many governments around the world are that way. It's become very apparent in the past 2 years how they've all been in lockstep with each other. It's too much to say it's a coincidence. So the situation between Russia and Ukraine in itself, to be honest with you, I'm avoiding politics as much as possible, and I avoid the media and news and Facebook, for example, because it just gets me vexed. So the situation between Russia and Ukraine in itself doesn't really concern me. And I don't think it's what's concerning the financial market. So you've seen this crash, more or less, and fear in the market. And it's not due to Russia, Ukraine. It's actually due to the American potential involvement in the Russian-Ukraine situation. Think about that for 5 minutes. If America was just ignoring the situation, there wouldn't be this financial meltdown that's going on right now and fear in the markets, would there? I'm not a financial expert, but that's the sense I make of it. I seriously think that America is a bad actor, and perhaps has been for a very, very long time. The Gulf War, I was a young man, mid-20s. I was against going into Iraq. I'm actually partially Iraqi. I didn't see the evidence, I didn't buy into it, and I didn't think an invasion was necessary, and I didn't think that they had anything to do with 9/11. But when the war started, obviously I supported our troops. I'm British, and I love what America stands for in terms of freedom and liberty and the Constitution, which is meaningless at the minute. Quite possibly has been for a very, very long time, actually. So I was disillusioned back then because I felt like I'm supporting our troops because it's our boys, but are we the baddies? Are we the bad guys? Yeah, and for sure, Libya, it's without doubt. You can argue perhaps over Iraq. I feel that the winning argument is that we had no right to invade Iraq, and that all of those deaths and devastation was entirely avoidable, was wrong, and we were the instigators of that. We, meaning the West, meaning the cabal that rules the West. Who's the cabal? That's an interesting question. I would say that you just need to look to the World Economic Forum. That's it, Davos. And then obviously the IMF is an institution. It's the baton of the cabal. Part of the global institutions that enforce the will of the cabal. So whatever's going on between Russia and Ukraine and who's right and who's wrong, I'll be honest with you, I don't lose any sleep over that. It doesn't concern me. But what does very much concern me is American involvement in that situation. You're welcome to disagree with me, but you really need to look into what happened in Libya more. You need to look at all those lives lost, all the refugees, the devastation of that nation. That whilst Gaddafi wasn't let's say, an ideal actor, he kept it kind of within Libya, shall we say, mostly. Was it Clinton? She said Hillary rotten. She said we came, we conquered, he died, something along those lines, and she laughed about it like it's funny. Like it's a game of Monopoly or something for these people. So that's my opinion, and I'm glad I can understand. I'm glad to be in Thailand and to understand that the opinion of the majority of Thai is as mine, that America is actually the threat. The Russian-Ukraine situation on its own isn't a global threat. It's America's involvement that makes it into a much bigger worry for everybody, a much bigger concern for everybody, escalating the situation. So so that's Thailand and me. And if you disagree with me, I just urge you to educate yourself a little. To look into the other side of the coin a little bit more. All right, look into what you might consider to be conspiracy theories, if you consider America to be an angel and a perfect actor, as to conspiracy theories as to what other motives America potentially had for destroying Libya. And then consider what motives does America have against Russia. And you just need to look at the bond market really and see that Russia is not holding any US dollar bonds, and that it's a huge buyer of gold. That's a big threat to the dollar for the future. So just open your mind to these things, and but whatever, I think escalating the situation and the potential death toll and destruction, and the poor getting poorer, not just in Russia and Ukraine, but all over the world, and middle class getting destroyed, and the elites getting incredibly rich. World Economic Forum, Klaus Vader, saying that we'll own nothing and be happy. Well, will they own nothing and be happy? They own everything, and they're still unhappy, and they want more. Maybe they should have less, like a 9x3 cell. What happens? Who watches the watchers? That's a debate for another time. But thanks for watching. I'll try and keep emotions out of my videos in the future. Thank you.